The hangout is now live. I almost got too much light on me now. I'm all like bleached out. Live. So, the Frown King actually, or was, printing stupendously. This came off the Frown King earlier. Wrong, but that's a modeling wrong. It's not. It's not a print wrong. I mean, look at that. It's just near perfect. It was really, really good. Like, really good. Like, surprisingly good. This came off the Frown King. But then, so did this. And I don't know if you can see it, but it looks like my poor little kitty has chicken pox. It's hard to tell with the poly because it's polyalchemy. You know, see if I can get it to focus there. What's up, 3D Medic? Yeah, it's shiny, but well, it's hard to tell, but it's all like it's like my kitty has chicken pox. I actually kind of like it because it makes it look like fur, but I don't want it there, and I don't know what it is. Same setting I printed this at. The only thing I changed was the temperature, one or two other things. But this is very mechanical. Oh, layer height. This is at 2.0. This was printed at 1.6, which I almost always do my mechanical stuff at 1.6. But these are all done with Cura 4. I've been playing with all day today. Mostly doing little mechanical parts. I've done a mess of these on the Fun King. Frown King. It's not a Fun King, it's a Frown King. It's actually a Fun King now. It's a Frown King. Taser Face, as Glenn originally called it. It's been printing stupendously. I put a new bed mechanism on it. No more LMU bearings. It's all wheels. It is so much smoother and so much quieter. The only thing that's pissed me off now is it's so quiet. The only thing I can hear is the fans. And they're all quiet fans, and I can still hear them. Yes, I do have it set for. Actually, I still have Cura running right now. Let me share the screen. I'm sure it's just a setting. Frown King Polyalchemy. So I'm doing it at 2 layer height, 3 wall count, which should be enough. 5 top layers, which is more than enough. 4 bottom layers. Optimized wall order. Alternating extra wall, which doesn't really matter for the cat. I could have turned that off, but it doesn't hurt anything. Z seam sharpest corner, but it's not a seam because it's all over it. I mean, it's just littered on it. It looks like fur. I'm almost thinking, did I turn on something down here in the experimental? I almost wonder if I turn on that experimental jitter or furry, or I need to call it shag or fur surface, but no, that's not. Skirt, regular fan speed at layer 2, or spin fan speed. Travel. I do have combing on, which I always have on. Yeah, fuzzy setting, is that what it's called? Yeah, but it's not like layer zits. That's just it. It's not a layer zit. It's the whole thing. It's not any one spot. It's like evenly distributed throughout the whole model. Is this thing loud enough? I just turned way down. My little guard broke too. It's weird. I mean, again, I don't hate it on this. It actually looks like fur, so it kind of looks cool. I mean, my string is great. There was almost no string. There was like 2 little hairs when the ears finished, and 1 little hair coming off the tail. Everything else is golden and beautiful. The tail came out great. There's only like, the normal spots. The layer lines are fine. I mean, they're there, but it's a 2.0 with a 0.4 or 2.0, 0.20 layer heights. So that's, the layer line's going to be normal on the back and everything. Where it's a heavy grade. The only thing I could think of is that I don't know, it's weird. I wasn't printing it that fast, 60, which is fast normally, but this thing's running so smoothly now. Just weird. I don't like, I mean, as you can see, I'm not a big fan of the new interface. This whole making this disappear, making people happy because we don't like the list. I don't see how people can not like the list. It's a list. Everything's there. You add or subtract what you want. It's easy to find. It's all there. These windows that you have to go searching through drive me nuts. I mean, every time I have to open or close a new window, it's just more clicking than I need. I'm not sure what it is. I'm wondering if it's the combing. It shouldn't though, because it's inside the model. That's what's keeping it from being all stringy. Fans, right? Fans working good. I mean, it is the little stock style fan, but believe it or not, that thing actually works pretty well. Temperature is not too high, not too low. Infill density should be enough, especially with 5 top and bottom layers. What's up, Michael? Yeah, no, I know about the fuzzy skin. It's there because I've been thinking about. I actually thought about. Actually, I could pull it up right now. I thought about applying it to this. Search skin. What happened? Why didn't the search work? No skin. Experimental. Here it is. Fuzzy skin. I've been thinking about turning it on just for like this cat and a few others. Beer. I actually have a Coke sitting here with a glass of ice, and I got a bottle of rum sitting on the floor, and I'm debating on whether I just want to have a rum and Coke or not. Let's I sliced it, so let's get rid of this. This drives me nuts. And do the preview. Maybe that'll let us see what's going on. Okay, what's the issue here? Yeah, it looks all fine. I don't get why it's doing it. I mean, this is all normal. I expect this right here because of the, it's a heavy thing and it's a very shallow grade, so it's going to do that. But I don't see why these pimples are showing. It's really weird. I mean, again, I don't hate it. I actually like it on this model, but I don't want them all doing that. And I highly, highly doubt it's the printer because the printer has put out some ridiculously. Granted, they're all small. I've done a lot of brackets because where I redid the whole bed. The bed is now on wheels with 2020 extrusion and all that instead of being on linear bearings or LMU bearings and rods. It's a boatload more secure, smoother, it's quieter. So I don't see why it would be jittery like that. I'm not seeing anything that would do it. I know it's not the model because it's my model. This is my model. I made this. I actually did this when Luby was still testing her little calico cat. That's a coin bank. And she was like letting people beta test it, and I got a copy of it and beta tested it for her, and inspired me to get back into organic modeling. And I just whipped this out in like an hour. I don't have the time like she does, but it came out all right. Anyway, so there's that. I mean, this all looks fine. I can't see anything wrong with this. Let's see. Where's the tool path on this thing? I guess it's hiding down below here where I can't get at it. Yep, right here. Okay, what's going on? Oh, that's this is the one I want over here. I'm wondering if it's just this. And like this right here. And it's just overlapping. See how this is just, I don't know, is that one layer or? No, it's 3 layers out. So the and the overlap's not that much. It's just bizarre. It is almost like it's right here though. At each one of these intersections with the infill. Although it's really not, because if you look, this is a nice straight kind of line. And it certainly isn't on the model. It's just very random. I'm going to have to try slicing it in one of the other slicers and see if it's something to do with the slicer. I mean, my first thought would be, like you said at first, that it was the the Z seam, but it's just too much and too random. It does look good though. That polyalchemy stuff is awesome. And I mean, even with the spots, like that looks awesome. Especially from there on the camera, you can't really see it unless I get up close and personal. Focus on that. Oh, there you go. Another little spots. Kind of bizarre, huh? I mean, they are everywhere. It's not a Z seam thing. Now, like I said, I mean, look at this. This was still, not the last thing, but one of the last things I printed just before that. This is near perfect. I mean, it is perfect. I'm sorry, that's perfect. I have to focus on that. Guess not. There we go. Look at that. Oh, there's a little hollow there on top. I just saw that. When I zoom it in, maybe a little under extrusion. That's like zooming in on it. That is not bad. Ooh, look at that. Well, I knew this was going to happen because I was too far off the bed. I can't believe it actually held. I mean, that's not terrible. And you're basically zooming in on it, seeing every little fault. If you look at it in real life, you'd be like, holy crap, that's awesome, considering what it came off of. What that machine is like. So anyways, there is that. Here is the Fun King. I'm going to have to kill that light, aren't I? Or move it. Which I have a bracket here I got to put up for it. Well, we'll just move it up here. And now you can see the fun Frown King. How far out can I move this camera? Put up, yanking everything out of the way. There we go, Frown King. You can pretty much see everything I've done to it. Orange. This is all ad. This is my big fan. I had to put a custom, and I do this with every printer. I will not have my Z. I level my bed, tram it, and I never touch these again. I never ever will touch these again. All I do is adjust the height. I can put PEI sheet. Right now I have glass. I can go right on blue tape. I can go on glass. I can go right on blue tape on glass. All you gotta do is spin this little wheel. That's the height. This whole head here is CNC Kitchens. He designed it for it's an A-net something, A10 I think he has, which is just like an ender, and it's just another one. I mean, this is almost exactly, it is exactly the same, but oh god, this is so much better in the air cooling. It's directed much better. I put a block on here. This actually Glenn had put on here originally. I have a different X-stop because I actually put real wheels on here that are dual bearing V-groove. I replaced this beam with V-groove where it was just T-groove before, and it had the little cheap nylon thin wheels with the single bearing. These are real V-groove with dual bearings. This is now all V-groove instead of the bed rides on to 2020 V-groove with 8 micro wheels on it, and they're not. It's trapped out, which is part of the problem. They're only on one side, and I push the rails out and then square them so that it's really tight, and it's not going anywhere. It don't move. I'm forcing on it, and I've actually only got one bracket. I just ordered more brackets because I ran out. I need to put brackets underneath this to stiffen it up even more. I was going to replace this, but I did put new belts on it too. Because, oh my god, the belts, I threw them out. I should have saved them just to show you guys. Glenn can verify this. The belts on this thing were like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like this weird, cheapo, super shiny, like plastic. I don't even want to say rubber. It was like cheap plastic. I mean, TPU is better. That makes sense. It was weird. New screen because the A-net screen doesn't work with the board. It's got a new board. It's got the MKS Gen L, the 8-bit version, not the 32-bit, because I'm not doing the whole smoothie wear, and I wasn't going to try and hack it for 2.0, more than 2.0. It's got new fans in it, new power supply. There's not really much left of this thing that's original. The base frame. That's it. The extruder. Believe it or not, Glenn had problems with it, and it wasn't the extruder. It was the drivers. Because I now have, again, I have the MKS Gen L in there. It's got the 2208 drivers in it. And that was the whole problem. The original board, which I'm sure you guys have all seen this. The original board, the original A-net board, has no adjustment for power. There's no, you can't adjust the power on anything but this one, and that's for the Z height, Z motor. See, that's the only one that's got a pot adjustment on it. All the rest of them don't have an adjuster on the stepper motors. So the extruder motor was underpowered, and it was skipping all the time. Because I put this board on, which this is a really, really, really old. This came on my, I don't even know if you can read that, but it's an old MXP. Well, focus on that. There you go. MXP Pro V1.5, which is an original MKS knockoff, from what I understand. This came on my Max Micron when I originally got it back in, 4 years ago. 4 years ago. It's the original board, which is, I mean, you look at it, it's pretty much an MKS Gen L, or an MKS Gen 1. Same basic layout, same everything. This and the hip tops use this. But this is kind of falling apart. one of the little, whatever you call these things, came undone, fell off. I knocked it, but it was cold soldered. There was a lot of bad soldering on this board, but it runs like a charm. It was rattling. Something's rattling in the board. I think it's just these. That's funny. Board runs really good though. It prints stupendously. I mean, it's just beautiful, the stuff that comes off of it. The problem with it is it is so freaking loud. I mean, this thing makes this seem quiet. This was quieter than this by a lot. But the prints that come off of it are unbelievably awesome. I'm not going to get rid of this. This I'll throw out eventually. I like just showing it off because it's such a piece of crap. Then, of course, I got a new screen for this. The exact same screen, different vendor. It's exactly the same screen. I don't care who the vendor is. I think I did throw out already. I throw it out. I threw them out. It had lines missing, and I went to return it because I got it through Amazon, and it's one of those you can't return, which I didn't know. But yeah, these are things I've been printing all day off of it. This is the first of my little X and Z stop. Actually, yeah, that's got the Z height stop built into it too, all in one unit. This is way better than the original, all adjustable, and there's an arm. And this is all stuff I've been printing on. Here's one of them. This is actually the last one I used before the one that's on there now. The one that's on there now is crunched way in. I redesigned it, and I took about 8 or 10 millimeters off the full length of this thing. Believe it or not, I got all of the same functionality in a much smaller piece. These are gone. There's just so many parts in here. So much garbage. I had to replace some of these bolts going through here with open builds low profile, because when I put the bigger wheels on, where are the old wheels? Let me get the old wheels. They're right here somewhere. I know they are. I was just staring at them earlier. What did I do with the old wheels? Oh, come on. I was just looking at them earlier. Going, should I keep those? Or should I just chuck them? Here they are. These are the original wheels. What's up, One Raz? So you can print and watch. These are the original wheels that were on the X carriage, and which are still on the Z rods. And the issue with them is they're single bearing, not dual bearing. If you look at a regular, like a V-groove one, it's a dual bearing, which means the bolt goes through it and it can actually twist because there's not enough space in here to keep it from twisting. So the bolt twists and then the wheel twists and the whole thing twists and doesn't ride right and it bobbles around. And so I replaced it with V-groove. Not only that, a couple of these are like, I don't even want to call them binding. They're more like grinding. They literally grind. They got like dirt in the bearing or something. Playback error? Is it me or YouTube? I'm not getting any errors. All my stuff says I'm good. Everything I got says I'm good. What's up, Jake? Matty Jake. And it's GIF, Matt. It's GIF. just so everyone knows, it actually is GIF. If you go and you study and you look it up, the original creators from, oh God, who started it? One of the online services that doesn't exist anymore. Anyways, they call it GIF. It is GIF. That is the true and proper name for it. But it makes no sense. And I'm going to call not on it because it makes no sense. It's graphical user interface or graphical interchange format, not graphical interface. So it should be GIF. Just like Tom and Jay's going to do that in the next poll. He's going to do the slicer or slick 3R thing, which basically I already did like 2 weeks ago because I actually contacted the original writer of slick 3R or slicer, and he says it's slicer. It's just a play on the word, and that's why he added the 3 to the R. But it's funny that who cares? Call it slick 3R, call it slicer, or whatever you want to do. Yeah, I was it was fun going back and forth. Me and you going back and forth about it. The drafts were great. Oh my God, that first draft just made me laugh. Did you put that up? Who put that up? You didn't put that up. Someone else did, where he put the tongue through his ear. That was just hilarious. And of course, I had to follow through with more drafts. Because it is not a giraffe's musical interface. Giraffe's interchange file. It's a graphical interface file. That makes sense? YouTube just came up and gave me a notice. What is that? First layer will be live in 30 minutes. Okay. So we'll go watch the first layer in 30 minutes. Again, I just do this, as you guys all know. I just do pop-ups whenever nobody else is around. Someone else starts streaming, I'll bail. So let me know if there's something else interesting on. But right now, I think I am going to make a rum and coke. Can I get demonetized for making a rum and coke? Oh, wait a minute. I'm not monetized, so it doesn't really matter, does it? I'd actually have to be monetized to be demonetized. I love these mini sodas. They're so ridiculously expensive, but every once in a while, I think these are the Sam's Club ones, so must have gotten them at Walmart or BJ's or one of those. I don't remember. But every once in a while, you get them for like $1.25 or $1.50 for the 6-pack. And I just love them because they're like the perfect size. If I get a full-size soda, I drink a full-size soda. Or if I get a little can of soda, I can make a perfect rum and coke with 1 can of soda. And I don't have any leftovers. And I'm not drinking extra soda that I don't need to be drinking. I'm trying to cut my sugar down. And that's rather tasty. What's at your end? What's up, Rover? So there's that. We still got to figure this out, but yeah, whatever. I think I'll just reslice it and try reprinting it tomorrow. I'm all done printing tonight. It's almost 9 o'clock. Reprinting it tomorrow with Idea Maker. Which, I gotta check on that right now. Because from what I understand, any day now, they will be releasing an Idea Maker update. And they were hinting to me the other day, tab, that there's going to be some pretty major additions / updates as their last one was. I don't know if you guys looked at their last one, but unlike some of the other ones, Cura's actually pretty good about updating, but sometimes they just do some weird, funky crap. It's mostly because it's Ultimaker and they want to offer the Ultimaker. But the last update of Idea Maker, as you know, I'm kind of a fan of it. had like 80 or 90 updates slash fixes slash new features, and I think there was like 60 new features. Not necessarily features; they were more adjustments or better adjustments. They weren't just fixes, though. They were changes to stuff or add-ons. But, they were small, but there was like 60 of them, and then there was like 20 fixes, and then like 15 like changes. I think it came to like 86 things they updated, and they update about every 4 to 6 months on average. So I want to go to their site and check it out. And why isn't it in here? Deal maker. I should make that go away. Share my screen here so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm in the forums, general. So there's mechanical raised cloud beta is now open, which I don't care about that. Software report format. Boot efficiency, but that's old as hell. Software. Gaps between dense and sparse reports in X and Y. That's all old. People are reposting it, but that's old. Update date. They are planning suite. Loop. Yes, I think it's been a long time. It really hasn't. This month, the new version of Raise Touch is coming soon as well. Don't care about the Raise Touch. A lot new features added to Idea Maker. We will release the release notes with the software release together. Well, it's almost the end of the month. You only have like what, 5 days left? What the hell? I want my damn update. There is a couple of things. I'm the one that found the layer height thing. Other people were like, something's weird with my layer height, and I discovered what it is. And if you don't know, it's not really that big a deal because most people isn't going to care for unless you use a really big nozzle. If you like me, I like using my big nozzle, but even still, with the increased layer height, my first layer, I have my printers all set up to functionally work well with a 0.2 layer height to start. That gives me my best adhesion. That's what my setup is set up for, blah, blah, blah. They all work really well if I do a 0.2 layer height for a first layer. Then I'll go up to a 0.3 or a 0.4 depending on my nozzle size. The problem is Raise won't let you. If you set it at a 0.2, the max it'll let you go if you put a 0.2 first layer is a 0.24 after that, which makes no sense. But they have they thought it was a good thing. They have a percentage maximum of first layer to concurring layers after that. Excuse me. And we're all like, no, that's not a good thing because a lot of people have a set layer height we do no matter what the layers are. From then on out, your first layer, you set your machine up to do a said first layer very well. Then you can stack on top of that as much as you want. Basically, it's kind of like using a raft or something. You're using your first layer as anyway. So they're supposedly going to fix that, and that's kind of a major drawback with my llama cube over here, because with the big nozzle on it, it likes to do thick layers, and I want to do thick layers. And like when I do polyalchemy bases, I like to do like a 0.3 or even a 0.35 or 0.34, 0.36 layer height for the bases. I actually like the texture it gives you. It looks cool. Depending. And you can't do it if you use that. Oh, you know, or I have to use a thicker first layer, which I don't like doing. Yeah, S3D will do it, and that's the only. I don't even have S3D installed anymore. I use IdeaMaker. S3D has the number one issue. I can't stand it. Um, I've always done mechanical printing, and S3D does not, and still has not. And they've way back when I first got S3D, what 3, 4 years ago, I bought it. I pointed out to them, and you could. They still does it. They said they fixed it, and they didn't. Um, if you look at someone's top layer that uses S3D, and they're doing mechanical printing, so they're not doing crazy adjustments, you'll always see where it comes along a curve, and then the infill, even on the top layer, their infill can't follow contour. It's not designed to. It'll do a 90-degree turn, so it always leaves this little triangle open that you can always see. Now you can get rid of it by adjusting your over cranking your um, overlap, going to like 70% overlap, which blows your whole model out because it expands everything. So if you're doing mechanical, your holes are wider and everything's bigger, and you have to rethink your whole model. And instead of just adjusting a little bit for clearances like you normally do, you're adjusting a lot bit for clearances because it blows your model out. It mushrooms it. So you can't do that. And the other big trick is to set your extrusion to under your nozzle width. So if you're using a 0.4 nozzle, normally you actually extrude. If you got a like a 0.2 or whatever, 0.4 nozzle, your actual extrusion, because when it comes out of the nozzle, I don't know if you know how it all works, but it mushrooms out a little bit. It comes out of the nozzle and mushrooms. So you actually end up with like a 0.2 to a 0.6. I think Simplify 3D defaults to 0.6 added. So it comes out to or 0.06. So their default extrusion width is not 0.4 when you're using a 0.4 nozzle, it's 0.46. Anyway, the trick is to make it a 0.3 till it's a 0.3 nozzle. So it'll actually extrude a little less plastic out of the nozzle, but now the tool path, the slicer will figure the tool path tighter, so you get it tighter, and you lose that some of that little triangle. It becomes smaller. You don't lose it; it becomes smaller. And that's the other trick. The problem is then you're just under extruding and you get jaggy lines, and you basically just under extruding. They're like, well, then you over extrude a little bit. It's like, why am I doing this for a piece of software that every single free one can do correctly? All of them. Craftware does it better. And I have to do all this adjustment to fix a problem no other slicer has but the one I'm paying for. And it's all right, it's an issue. They addressed it. I got an email back from them. This is like 4 years ago. Yes, you're right. This is a problem. We'll fix it. They came out with 3.1 or 3.5 and said, oh, we fixed it. It was not fixed. They made it better, definitely. 4.0 came out, or whatever the last one was. It's not 4.0. The 4.0, I can't even remember what the last S3D is, but you have to adjust things you shouldn't have to adjust to make up for their mistakes, for their issues on the most expensive slicer there is. And I have no problems paying for a slicer. I think Cura should start charging $20. I would pay $20 for Cura. I'd pay $20 for IdeaMaker, $50. You know, slicer, I'd pay for that. Not that I ever use it, but if I ever wanted to use it, I'd pay for a slicer. I have no problems paying for them. They're good pieces of software. It's if you think about the mathematical and the calculations and everything they have to figure out, a lot of freaking work going into them things. This is not an easy piece of programming. I got no problems paying for them. No, they're free because most of them are supported by the company. You know, they're made for their machines, and then they secondary release it for everybody else. I mean, Raise 3D, even though you could use it for anything, any printer, it really wasn't released until November or October. I think the last one came out for any printer. It was made for Raise 3D. You took a Raise 3D printer profile and you edited it for your printer. Now you can actually go in just like Cura and Select 3R and all of those. You can go in and tell it you're doing a custom printer. You don't have to use their stock printer anymore. So, but S3D it's just mind-boggling. And then they treat everybody like crap, and they're trying to make more money, and they just screwed themselves. They overcharged trying to make money. And honestly, I think they would have made more money charging less because more people would have been able to afford it. They'd have made it $75 instead of 150, half the price. I guarantee you, more than half the people that bought it, there'd be more than twice as many buying it. I would still to this day say, okay, it's worth $75. Maybe. It's really not right now, but it kind of is. I mean, it's still a good slicer. It's not a terrible slicer. I don't hate it. I just don't like that I paid $150 for it because everyone was saying it's so great. And I can literally take screws. If I screw something into a hole like this, okay, if I would, screw something in and thread it, I could yank it right out. And the threads wouldn't come out. The actual plastic would release because they do not adhere their infill to their shells properly. If you leave it as stock settings, yes, again, you can mess with it, but the minute you mess with it to make that right, everything else gets blown out of shape and you have other problems. And that was my biggest problem with it. It makes absolutely beautiful stuff. It's still probably the best. It is the best. It like vases. It makes the most. I don't know what they do different, but the outer face of a vase when you slice it with S3D in spiral mode, it still far exceeds all the rest of them. But I wouldn't shell out $150 for base mode. The other ones do it okay. I mean, it's just fine. You wouldn't know the difference if you didn't like stand there and stare at it up close. But anyway, it is what it is. So we'll see what they come out with. If there's actual updates to the newest version, I would be more than happy to pay for it if it comes out with something. I mean, I originally bought it because I wanted the only thing I really wanted was supports. It was by and far the only one that did good supports back in the day, and it still does good supports. The thing is Idea Maker does them better. They are better. My bottom surface is always better, always. The only problem I see, and it's with either of them really, but Idea Makers are almost worse when I'm using HTPLAs. This is actually Maker Geeks. I'm burning off all the last of my Maker Geeks. This is Maker Geeks Raptor. But it's not just this, it's Protopasta also. The supports don't release from the HTPLAs as easily. I don't know why. Probably because it's hotter, so it's adhering better between layers. I'm guessing. I don't know. But there's that. I think the Larry thing's gonna start in like 5 minutes, right? The first layer. They're starting at 9, yeah. So I'm gonna bolt off. There's a quick update of the Frown King. Gotta figure out what's causing this to be all like chicken pocked when it's putting out this near perfect. But yeah, here you go. I'll get that to zoom in on that. You know, see that hole right there? That line? They all do it a little bit. It would be worse with S3D, and actually, You'd see it right here. See that one hole there? Just outside the circle? There'd be like 10 of them if this was S3D. If I had to slice this with S3D. There'd be all kinds of little itty bitty misses in the top layers. That focus. Come on, focus. There's none on that side that I can see. But yeah, I'm going to bolt because the first layer is going to start in 5 minutes or so. So thanks for stopping in, whoever is even here. I don't even think there's anyone here, is there? There's 4 whole people watching. Wow, you guys really have no life, do you? Kidding. Thanks for stopping in. I'm off. Later, guys. Killing it.